Yeah, so we're finally live. Welcome to everyone. This is Cloudly Conversations. This is an attempt that we're having to have discussions about topics that really matter, pertaining to, and this particular conversation is going to be about moving from data chaos to confident decisions. We're going to touch upon different themes, moving from humans, strategy, and AI. I'm going to be your host for today. My name is Atisha Rajpurohit. I work as an AI engineer at Cloudly. And just to give you a little quick thing about me, I'm really excited about working with all different ways of capturing uncertainty, whether that comes from statistical models or if it comes from AI models, just really trying to understand uncertainty, working with it, just working with LLMs. I feel like that is something that has just been something that I've really been interested into. And I'm so glad to have this conversation with these people here in this room where I can ask them certain conversations and honestly get the best out of the experience that they have. And I'm here to trying to bring and leverage their experience and their career values that they've learned into this conversation. So, to start off with our guests, I'm very excited to have three really successful people with me today on this podcast. We're going to start with Leslie. So, Leslie has spent 15 years in the Salesforce world, moving from hands on implementations all the way to leading dev teams and advising the C suite. Safe to say, she's been a thing or two. Last year, she walked away from that career completely to focus on one thing: helping business owners wrap their heads around AI and automation and what it can do for them. We need more people like you, Leslie. Thank you so much for joining the pod. Moving on to Eric. For a lot of you who's ever seen his LinkedIn, he's a little bit of a superstar. There's so much that's said about him, and every time I move into his LinkedIn profile, I'm just so inspired with all the posts, and I feel like his words speak to me. Um, he's been in the Salesforce ecosystem since 2009. He was so enamored by the community that he has not just created one, but two community conferences, if you may. Midwest Dreaming, which is now in its 12th year, and Dreaming in Data, which is now in its second year. He's been a Salesforce MVP since 2013 and in the MVP Hall of Fame since 2019. Professionally, he specializes in product marketing for ISV partner companies. Eric, it's safe to say you're a superhero and we have you here. Thank you for joining the pod. Um,
Glad to be here.
and we finally have Serene, who is a seasoned technology expert with 25 plus years of experience working with, and he has founded Cloudly. And Cloudly has been a company which has been involved in different processes of moving from Salesforce implementation. And finally, the most exciting, the proprietary no code platform Config. And what's really interesting for anyone who's met Serene has been the positivity with which he executes everything and the calm face that he has while doing everything. But personally, to me, what's really inspiring is his vision and how he's transformed his career and just helped so many people around him, so many companies, organizations around him. We're so glad that you're here, Serene. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess we're done with the introduction. So are we ready to just get started, guys?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Let's do it.
Let's
let's do
go.
it. Yeah. So, like, I feel like any conversation, let's get it out of the way. There's so much about data, and everyone wants to talk about the shiny things like AI and strategy. But before we move to that, I feel like let's just give the importance to the topic that really matters, and that's data cleanliness, right? Like data chaos. There's people want to talk about the shinier things, but I feel like there's so much that needs to be said about this. Um, so just starting with this, we have a couple of questions to understand data chaos, if you may, which starts with like the foundation for our entire conversation. Let's set the stage. Suren, this one's for you. When you hear the word data chaos, what does it look like for the organizations that you worked with? And give us a true horror story, if you may.
Yeah, so this is a good question, Tisha. Thank you, and thanks for this opportunity. And I worked for various organizations of different kinds and different sizes. I'll just give you to name a few. I worked for Facebook, LinkedIn, TIPCO, and they're all of different kinds. And apart from that, working for Cloudly, facing a lot of customers, I've seen several scenarios. I'll take one big use case where the data is huge. Facebook, I'll take. So they
That's
used to have that. Come again?
I was like, that's a good one. We want to hear about that example.
Yeah, so in that there is a master data management team, MDM team, and DQM team, data quality management team. So in that process, what happens is if at all you wanted to take care of their ad revenue or invoicing, billing, and all that, right? All the data has to be in clean, in sync, and all that. The process of data cleaning and generating the invoices and all that is a 15-day process. In a month, when you generate an invoice, it takes 15 days for them to make sure everything is kind of clean, invoice is going to the right bill to, whereas you have several ship tos. And example I'll give you, you can have IBM as a international business machines, I.B.M and IBM, you have various, right? So there, that's where the challenge is to combining, making sure what is the correct one and who entered wrong, and making that into see where you have the associated invoices or activity, then kind of bring them into the correct one, combine them, merge them, and generating the invoice to the right account is the one scenario where I take. And data quality, they thoroughly make sure follow the process step by step in order for that to be clean and going to the right bill to ship tos and all that accordingly. And I'll take another situation where it is very simple, but people don't want to enter the data. I'll take my organization in this case, where Cloudly has a platform config. We have a, HRMS system, and we do have a PMS, portfolio program project management system. Here, the challenge is the people have the data, but they don't want to enter into the system. Even they enter into the system, they enter it at a very late stage in the game. And in day-to-day activities, if you try to generate the instantaneous reports, you'll not get the status. Example, I want to see the timesheets entered by individuals on the projects versus the people who are at a different customer location versus people who are on real internal projects, right? So once you add and there is activity, a component called billable and non-billable activity comes into play. So entering that is a nightmare basically. So again, we figured out, and we were at 50%. We have now at 90%, but still there is a room for improvement of 10% data that need to be entered timely so that you get what you want. So I'll just stop here and hand it over to the next set of the team to kind of add any points and what exactly that data in their organization is meant for.
Yeah, thank you so much, Surin, for giving us that invite. That insight that was very particular, and thank you for drawing up from your experience. So like the next question, Leslie, this one's for you.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
there's a stat that poor quality data quality costs organizations at an average 12.9 million a year. But beyond the dollars, what's the human cost? How does bad data actually mess up people's day-to-day work?
Oh.
What are your insights, Leslie?
Well, there's an old saying that I think everyone listening to this podcast has heard, which is garbage in, garbage out.
We've all heard it.
So, one of the places that this obviously shows up right away is in reporting and analytics. And, Cern, you touched on this. I've lost count how many times I've seen sales teams, we call it gaming, but they do not enter information about their lead process until they're pretty close to getting where they want to be, let's say making an opportunity that is qualified. And they do that not because they're bad people, but because for some reason they were incentivized to create quality opportunity records, for instance, in a CRM. So when that happens, these are people doing their days, going through the phone calls, doing the emails, doing the follow up. But if the data is bad, now leadership, when they're trying to understand how the sales team is doing or how the marketing campaign is performing, they do not have the data because between the source that they're trying to track and the actual action that's being taken, that data is being lost or maybe, changed a little bit. The other really important thing about reporting and analytics, besides leadership wanting to see what's going on, which everybody is fully aware of, but truly in a very human based way, everyone should know what they are doing and why they are doing it in any given time. And if you don't have clean data that is feeding clean analytics, how is anyone going to know for sure, based on decisions made from those analytics, that they're working on the right thing?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, thank you. You're just reiterating on the fact, like you said, right, to know what you're doing with your data, to have that clarity. And thank you so much for drawing on that and like putting it in such a nice way. Moving on to the next question, Eric, this one's for you. If you had to give anyone, someone listening to this, one non negotiable rule about data hygiene, even before they touch the shiny AI tool, what would it be?
Well, I think Leslie kind of hinted to it just a second ago. Clean data, uh, but what exactly does that mean, right? What is clean data? That means all the relevant fields have been completed. All of the records have been deduplicated, so you don't have multiple records of the same thing. It also means using standardized abbreviations, countries, states, things of that nature, doing those with a pick list rather than allowing people to just enter something, because then you're going to get more confusion and more chaos than clean data. Um, you got to start with a good foundation. It's like building a house, right? You need a solid foundation to build everything else on top of, and the clean data, the non-duplicated data, that's your foundation of everything moving forward here.
That's actually really interesting, Eric. And thank you for bringing on like those particular nuances, mentioning like standardization of data and all of this. I feel like we still need to be talking about this because this battle is not won yet.
It,
Letitia, I would add on to Eric that after they've completed that very important step of actually looking at their data and cleaning it, now, if it was not clear before, every piece of data has to be owned by someone.
mhm.
Someone has to be accountable now, if they weren't before, for the ownership of it, of keeping it current, of auditing it regularly. A person still has to be involved. The AI isn't going to be accountable for us. We have to
That's
be
Right.
accountable for this.
that's a nice statement, Leslie. That's a hot take. AI is not going to be accountable. Thank you for giving that to us. So thank you. So moving on from data, I feel like let's go to this next part of the podcast category, which is failing smart, or rather, talking about the art of iteration. Everything we know is an iterative process, right? But like, there's the phrase, "this just fail fast," which might be misunderstood, or probably the most misunderstood phrase in tech. Leslie, you've talked about disastrous fails and how fail fast gets completely taken out of context. What does that phrase mean when done wrong? What are the implications when it just goes wrong, and what it really is when it's right? Could you just throw some light on this,
Sure
Leslie?
thing. So, fail fast was a really fun thing to say that got really popular over the last, I'd say, 15 to 20 years. And all it was shorthand to explain agile iteration to people who are not technologists, to stakeholders who, were learning new jargon that developers were using amongst themselves. So fail fast meant something in the context of a given project or application that's being built. This is what iteration means. We're going to make small, inexpensive mistakes in a contained area to avoid great big mistakes or massive overspending or waste. The other version of that was I fail fast, or I move fast and I break things, which was supposed to be kind of a cool way to talk about agile. But it became misunderstood. I'm sure that everyone that can hear me has experienced this. Failing fast does not mean do more projects and just be okay with them being unsuccessful. That is an indication of skipping steps in planning and prioritizing and deciding what you're going to work on. It's a completely different thing if you take it outside of the context of agile work, of iterating on a particular item that you have already decided is important and you know why you decided it was important. Uh, that's my soapbox about failing fast. I feel fairly strongly about it.
Yeah, thanks. I feel like there are so many phrases that get thrown around where we are all aware of LinkedIn and the famous phrases that keep coming about, because it needs to be catchy. But like, we really need to like do our due diligence before knowing what these phrases mean, instead of just trying to be the cool ones. Like we're all trying to be. But yeah, that sounds great. So moving on to you, Eric, this is the question that I had. Like, say when you're building something new and a product or a system or workflow, anything as such, the question is that what is your signal about how often you should iterate when it's time to decide that this product has been built? How are you really understanding that this product is good enough? And what are the different dimensions you use in your decision making for this?
Yeah, I think in reality, some of this goes back to what Leslie just described, where you try something and you analyze the results and you determine where it worked and where it didn't, and then you try something else that's slightly different. And you just keep going back through that process over and over again until you achieve the desired results or what you feel is as close to the desired results as you're ever going to get. Everybody talks about the 80/20 rule. Uh, you spend 80% of your you spend 80% of your effort satisfying 20% of your goal or something along those lines. Maybe I'm describing that incorrectly. Um, but it has to do with effort versus results ultimately. And at some point in time, the incremental effort is not going to provide results that are equally incremental or better. And at that point in time, you need to realize it for one thing, and that's probably where you need to stop and just let it ride and let it keep going, and revisit again at another time and place just to see if something has changed. Your environment's always changing, your competitors are always changing, your customers and their business are always changing. So at some point, you still need to go back and revisit everything and make sure you're still at the optimum level of whatever decision making capabilities you're providing for whoever is making those decisions.
Yeah, thank you so much for also
Yeah,
like.
I just wanted to add one or two points to Eric's extension. The companies, most of the times, what happens is they wanted a perfect product, and in that process, they lose a lot of time. But the product that what we designed may not be the customer's choice, so we don't have to perfect it. We had to demonstrate the one functionality that's available to the customer, get the feedback, right? If you do that iterative loop, then what happens is you build the product that is needed for the customer. Whereas if you go and try to perfect it, you design to your norms, and that may not be the norms for the industry and the customers. Thank you.
I was actually just gonna head to you, Surin, with that question and gonna ask you that how good is good enough and go for it. But you already started, so I feel like I just want you to continue the trail of thought. But just like you said, right, like a very interesting perspective that your norm and the customer's norm is not gonna be the same. So probably, are you saying that we need to iterate together with them and work with them, and that's probably important? Like, how do you also keep a business going and just not iterating foolishly? Like what is your opinion and experience as a CEO?
Yeah, so just to add to the one where I left the conversation, the point where I was making is iteration in the sense the product, when you just say CRM, right? CRM can have certain 20 features, example, right? If you build like 10 of them, that's good enough, is what I'm saying. The customer, you wait for all the 20 to be built, and customer may use only 5 of the 10 that you are planning on building. So that's what my intention was earlier. So all the 20 may be needed, but 5 per customer or 5 per industry. So again, good is good enough. We get the requirement gathering. During the requirement gathering, you know exactly what 3 or 5 features they are looking, and that has to be, you will perfect it and do it. And in today's day and age, what's happening is you don't need to wait for a month, 2 months to build a product. All you need is 2 weeks or a week to build the POC and give it, right. So that's the speed at which we are executing. And if you're not at that speed, then that means you're not in the game for the new world of building the applications and giving the deliverables to the customer.
Got it. Thank you so much. Like you said, right? Like right now, timings have shortened. So thank you, all three of you, for your opinion. So the next category, again, I feel like a very personally assuring topic. Humans still matter. Humans in the loop. What I'm gonna do in this particular category is I'm just gonna ask you all two questions, and I want like some quick answers. You know, like a one or two statements, so that I can get like the first thought out of your. This is like the thinking fast part of the pod. You know, so just moving to the next. Okay, so technology again is only as good as the humans wiggling it. We're hearing so much about automation replacing jobs. Humans are going to go away. We're going to be replaced, and everything else that you've seen blown out of proportion. But in your experience, where do humans become more important as AI is getting more capable? What is it that cannot be automated? What is it? How do we as humans need to pivot and move around with it? I need like a quick hot take from all of you. You know, I'm going to start with you, Eric, on this one.
Yeah, I think my answer probably won't surprise the people that really know me well. AI is not going to give you the warm fuzzy feelings that community does, that spending time with people and having face to face conversations does.
Hit this.
Now I know some people who literally have conversations with AI just for the sake of having a conversation, but in my opinion, it's a little strange, perhaps. But you know, I enjoy going to events. I enjoy meeting people face to face that I've only known through technology, through online methods, and I enjoy the spontaneity, I suppose, of being human, and trying to figure out what that looks like. You know, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? You've got 10 people in the room. You're going to get 10 to 12 different answers on what do you want to do for dinner tonight. And the challenge there is how do you whittle that down to one place that everybody's going to enjoy? I there's a lot of gut feeling, I suppose, to that. And I don't think AI is going to be able to have gut feelings.
That's actually very, very interesting, very important. Emotions, you know, the warm, fuzzy community, I feel so important, right? AI can't emote. And if the conversations, the real, the feeling that it gives you, you know, that part of it. Thanks for that. Leslie, what's your take? How are we getting more important? What's,
I'll take this from a purely technological angle. When
okay.
it comes to agentic AI,
Hmm.
meaning like it has agency, it's making decisions on its own, it across the board, categorically, should never be left alone. The same way you would not leave a toddler alone. You must have a human in the loop, checking decisions, checking output. That it you should not play with agentic AI on any level without a human in the loop. I'll die on that hill. I have strong feelings, Atisha.
I can see, I can sense the need for accountability from our conversations, Leslie, and I feel like that is something that you advocate for, you know, and I can see it in the tone that you're speaking. So, and that's a good one, you know.
Well,
So,
and it's important for folks to understand at all levels of AI literacy that hallucinations or excessive creativity or whatever we like to call it uh, are an inevitable outcome of how these models were created. And if you understand that you take that into account when you're building solutions, you'll be in much better shape. But expecting particularly agentic AI to be an easy button that will make decisions on your behalf is a very dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
fair enough. And Surin, what's your take on this? How are we getting more
Yes.
important?
So the transition is happening from AI to AGI to general intelligence to super intelligence, ASI, right? So when it is transforming and it's going into the next level, and the involvement of the human portion can reduce, but as Leslie and everybody is mentioning, that you need to get the desired result irrespective of what's happening, right? To get to the perfection, to get to the uh, result that everybody is expecting with a certain guidelines, guardrails, and all, right? You till that time human involvement is there to make sure it's behaving the right way. Then I think you let loose and you move on to the complicated problem solving and also get into the advanced intelligence systems. So that's what the transition is happening, and the testing is at most important, making sure it is meeting all the guardrails and also security, data privacy requirements are kind of it is loosely defined at the moment, but all the global community has to decide what are the right ones. Again, we have seen that in the past, like GDPR, CCPA, and a lot of these regulations comes from Europe, US, and different Brazil and different places, right? You need common framework and common guardrails so that we know. I can in future I see a lot of platforms, lot of ecosystems with agents. Again, one system with agents will not flourish, but you need multiple systems, multiple ecosystem, multiple agents. The smart agents will talk to the smart agents of other ecosystems, other platforms, and work together like a team and kind of give the desired result, right? That's when the actual productivity goes up and the cost comes down and value generation happens automatically.
Okay, got it. Thank you for reiterating reinforcing all of those points and the technicalities of it. Moving in like the next thing, I feel like AI is changing a lot of way like we do things and all, and there's a lot of so the next category would be, say, if I'm talking about strategic decision making. Where and I do want to leverage the experience that all of y'all have because y'all are leaders in the field, right? Like, so where we're moving from prototype to production, the question is that there's so much that's being spoken about having systemic awareness, which I completely agree, but there are so many processes, so many dependencies. How have y'all together been able to have that vision and that understanding of so many processes moving into designing workflows? What has your strategy been for all of this? Let's start with you on this one, Leslie. Like, how do you go about it? How do you get enough awareness and understand the important dependencies in a system or a workflow?
Well, so I have to practice what I preach. So if we're talking about how I'm running my own business,
Hmm.
I also have to clean my data, organize my data, make my data readable and formatted in a way that is easy for AI to use. For example, the difference between loading a PDF in for analysis or loading a simple text file is big. One is much more easily consumed by the machine, as we might call it. Um, I think that it's what we need to know is learnable, and yes, a lot of wisdom and experience needs to be applied, but the idea of systemic awareness as a whole was always a good idea. It was always a good idea to understand across the board, where am I putting my efforts and why,
Hmm.
and what do I have resources to work with. I can't put all my efforts everywhere all the time, so I'm going to have a decision making framework. I'm going to have to prioritize. I am going to have to make that decision. I can get some ideas from AI and from LLMs, but I'm still going to have to make the call. So I have to do it for myself as much as I tell and teach clients to do that as well. So I'm in the trenches with everybody else.
Fair enough. We got to make our own decisions, right? Suren, what is your take on this? How do you get systemic awareness about the processes, understanding dependencies?
So one point I'd like to reiterate, I touched earlier, plus the industry, right? The use cases what we are getting are bigger use cases, but whereas the customers need smaller use cases, and it need to be dealt with their data set, not about that solving the world problem, because every customer has a limited data that is confined to them and that has to work according to their norms. So understanding that experience and also the process and the functionality and what is the expectation out of that agent or the bot, that what we are going to see, that is more crucial, more important, and that's where a lot of people will spend time go forward as well. Doesn't matter you build a generic or any XYZ companies build a generic agents to make that work for specific to your need, needs a lot of training and lot of coaching to the agent, and that's where you create a lot of new jobs. Basically job creation happens in training, making the agents work to your use cases, work to get your desired result, so that you'll perfect on it. So it is a small incremental use case driven solutions is where it becomes popular, but you create a lot of jobs to make those agents work.
Okay, that makes that right, like creating a lot of agents to make the job work. Thanks, Sirin, for that opinion. And Eric, moving on to you. How do we understand this better? Tell us about your strategy and decision making process.
Yeah, I think one thing that came to my mind while Surin was just speaking was the fact that it's okay to try something and see what it does, and then iterate and try something else. I remember one of the conversations I had with a former manager of mine where she told me, "Don't spend so much time to try to get it perfect. Just get something done and see what happened." And I think a lot of us humans probably gravitate towards perfection. We want to be right. We want to be perfect, and we want our work to really showcase what we can do. But I think if we look at it with that slightly different lens of let's get it close enough and see what it looks like. And if something's a little amiss, we can certainly tweak it and make some changes. I think one thing else that Leslie pointed out back when she was talking about garbage in, garbage out, I remember back in the day, there were people who were new to computer systems and they thought if data somehow touched a computer, it was garbage in, gospel out. And they just simply believed it because it came from a computer. That's dangerous too, right? That kind of implies a few things and helps reiterate the aspect of you got to keep the humans in the loop to kind of rein this in and keep it within the guardrails.
Yeah, and thanks for that. And particularly, I like the fact that you said that as humans, we gravitate towards perfection. But to just get something out because we're always in our head. So the point is to get something out and then move from there. So I feel like that reiteration was very validating. So thank you for that. Um, Moving on, I've been someone who was a mid-career. I mean, I am someone who was a mid-career professional, and when I was like reading about all three of you, I was just so impressed by how you all have transformed your career in some or the other way, or at times reinvented yourselves completely, right? So, and with someone like me, I feel like, when you start your career, you're so rigid on yourself, you're so hard on yourself, and you're just like, this is how I'm supposed to do it, and this is how it should be. And how what would the advice be that you would give to someone who's a mid-career professional, like wanting to make a pivot, wanting to reinvent, and talk, like what was the advice that you would give us? Because y'all have all done it and done it exceptionally. So what's the thing? Let's start with you and Eric on this one. What's your advice to us mid-career peeps?
Yeah, I think that the quick answer to that would be if there's something that you've always wanted to try to do professionally, just go do it. The other piece of advice that I give to a lot of people who are potentially a little earlier in their career than mid-career is if you're looking to make a job change, don't necessarily look to a specific job, but maybe find an organization or a company that aligns with your values and start conversations with that organization. And it may turn into a job. It may turn into the perfect job for you at what turns out to be the perfect organization. So you may go from, oh, this is really cool to, oh, I get to work with this thing now. And that's even way cooler.
That's actually very good advice. I'm probably going to take that. Leslie, what's your advice for us?
Yeah,
If you're
Leslie
mid-career
is.
right now, That probably means you've spent some time in the world of Agile. And the reason I come back to Agile is 25 years old. If you say that it began when they did their manifesto, it took them a little while to put that together. Okay, so 25 years. You are not seeing clickbait about how Agile is broken anywhere. Not on LinkedIn, not on Instagram, not on Facebook, because it's not. And why is it not broken? Because it's a foundational process to help humans make decisions and go back to community, work together, leverage each other's skill sets, leverage each other's experiences. So they call them soft skills, which they are much less than, it makes it sound less than, right, when we use the word soft. But they're absolutely critical, particularly for people in technical roles, because it is just not an option anymore to be a purely technical contributor. You have got to be able to collaborate with other people. That means talking with them, asking questions, raising your hand, fully participating in what's happening and feeling comfortable doing that. The only way to do it is you just got to put yourself in the room and you just got to open your mouth and it'll be okay. And I hate to say that because that happens repeatedly throughout your career where you get into different rooms all the time. And that
Yeah,
you
you gotta
need,
be scared, but still say it, If you feel it,
yeah,
you say it. But it's very reassuring for you to say that. And especially, I feel like I'm convinced with like, I'd been contemplating Agile for a while and I feel like you're selling me on it. So,
yeah, there's no downside to being, to really understanding Agile and how it is best applied, or how it really helps technologists get to the work that they should be doing at any given time. With Agile, everyone should know what they're working on every minute of their day, and they should know why. It's a big deal.
thanks for that, Leslie. Moving to you, Serene, what's your advice on like how to take the transformation or how to pivot? Just
Yeah.
drawing from your own experiences, of course.
Yeah, your question is very, very valid question, good question, because you yourself stated that rigid, right? So you don't want to change because you did this data sciences, you did this engineering, you did exactly this one, right? You wanted to be stuck to that follows example I'm giving you. So then that's not going to help you learn more because you just come pick whatever comes your way at that time and expand because this is no man's land. Everybody can grab anything, everything, because you have all the tools, technology at your disposal. Just enter into a workforce and try to see how you create value by just showing creating the value that itself kind of gives you bigger opportunities in the same organization or across the organizations as you are networking. So the work will automatically show up because you are delivering the promise. And the mid career, the people who are in 40s and a little bit over 45s, right? They don't have they have one drawback and one advantage because the experience what they gained over the last few years is a plus as well as minus because they had to unlearn for redoing it in a new way. The unlearning will take a lot of time, whereas they can use that experience and learn the new things and apply with a new mindset, then automatically things will fall in place. Again, same problem of them and you is mindset shift. You just be there, understand, do it, and kind of expand, then you are in.
Yeah. Thank you so
All right,
much.
that's so great. I wanted to add on to that for mid-career folks, because one of the things that we have to unlearn, which I've found particularly challenging, is knowing what to spend my brain working on. So
Oh my
if you've
God, I
been
feel
a
that all
technologist,
the time.
right, you're used to spending a lot of your own brain power working on solutions or collaborating with other team members on solutions. And it's new habit to go, right, I'm not alone. I have tools that can also brainstorm if I give information. Oh, I don't have to do that by myself. And it's just a habit. It's just a habit, but it's hard to break. Uh, For all of us that have been doing this for a while, we've been used to thinking a lot of very deep thoughts all the time, and we will continue to think deep thoughts. But we have thinking partners now in the technology, and that's a game changer for us.
Thank you so much. I feel like this question definitely was a personal question. that I put into the pot. I just needed the advice, and why not, right? I have all three of you here. Finally, I think just moving to the last question. There's so much about AI and everything. I want your takes about first, how has AI changed your life? And second, what is your vision for AI? What is it that you see in the next few years? I know that the next few years is still a long timeline or horizon for AI, but I want to try to get an understanding of your vision with AI. So that's the second part of the question. First is, how has it really changed your life? The next one is, what's the vision that you have for AI? And third is just advice, any cool tools, any fun facts or stories that you'll have with AI, just pour them out here for us. Let's start with you on this one, Suren.
Yeah, so just 2 points I'd like to make. One, it changed me because I'm in a little different role. I had to think fast, act fast, and direct the team the right way. Even if it is wrong, they had to be given some direction and move forward. That's what I'm doing in my no code platform. I'm giving the direction and liberty, and also ask them to fail early and kind of keep making mistakes as many as they can, but fix it fast in a day or 2 days, because before the customer or before even the user who tested gives us the feedback, and by the next time he logs in, that is fixed. So this is a model that a lot of bigger companies incorporated into their thing. Example, like Facebook, they incorporated that into the model where they release it, immediately they fix it. So I think that's the model. But now, as Leslie mentioned, you have agents and you have a lot of other tools, technology available for you to correct it, so that you can correct yourself with the help of additional tools, technologies available at hand, and move forward and do it fast, so that you'll sustain and then you can scale.
Yeah, thank you, Suren. I can personally vouch for this, given that he's my boss. Uh, but thank you for that one. Um, Eric, moving on to you. How has AI changed your life? What is your vision? I'm interested in this one. You want to hear that from you, and then just something cool that has just any cool AI tools that you're using.
Yeah, so professionally, most of my work is marketing, and not necessarily hands-on a marketing platform, but more from marketing from the perspective of content creation, community involvement, and my take or the way I'm utilizing AI perhaps is I'll write a blog post, for example. I'll put my thoughts down on paper. I'll come up with the way I want to say things, and then I will feed that into ChatGPT or something else with a few additional parameters and say, tell me a better way to word this. Sometimes the way my words come out make sense to me, but they don't necessarily make sense to everybody else. So I'm looking for the guidance of what's the perfect way to say something without losing the meaning. And I think that's through some iteration and through some creative prompting, perhaps. I think that's the way I'm utilizing AI tools the best right now. Um, there was a thought that came to my mind as Surin was just speaking again, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. It was something along the lines of while you're getting colleagues to do some work for you, it's like giving them a piece of rope, and you give them a certain length of rope, whether it's 3 feet, 6 feet, whatever, and they can either tie the perfect square knot with that piece of rope, or they can make a noose and hang themselves. Now, obviously, we hope they tie the perfect square knot, but as long as they don't do it super tight, regardless of which way they go, you still have the ability to iterate and change things and fix things and make it better.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I feel like you said, right, like you're using it for marketing and for all of those things, content creation. So that's interesting. And Leslie, finally, you're gonna be the last one answering this. So oh wait, Eric, what's your vision? Sorry, I was waiting on that one. What's your vision for AI?
Oh, yes, yes, of course. It's going to constantly change. It's going to improve. But I think the one thing that people need to remember is the best AI tools are going to provide the best value for you if it's grounded in your own data. So I think the longer term vision in my mind is making all of that easier, figuring out a way to make it easier to pull all of your data together, to make sure it's clean data. I'm going to reiterate that one more time because that's super important. And then just sit back and watch the results and enjoy what you see, and figure out the proper way to deal with that, and utilize it to the best you can.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And I think as simple as make it easy. The easier it is, the more I'm going to use it. Like we can't do that. So finally, Leslie, to you, what's your vision for AI? How has AI changed your life? And what are some cool tools? I want you to name some tools, and like more than one. And more
Okay, fine. Okay. No, AI has changed my life in a very personal way. So my career over the last 15 years was in the Salesforce ecosystem. So that was the vantage point by which I saw a business. And not that that's a right or wrong, a CRM is the heart of a business. But AI in general was bringing so much more to the table that could be integrated with or utilize data from a CRM in order to do things that the CRM has never been able to do. There was just so much fun, exciting movement in technology so quickly that I made the personal decision of leaving my role as a senior Salesforce manager and devoting myself to this because I believe that businesses that are a little light on their feet, smaller than the most gigantic ones, are going to be the ones that can move most quickly and be able to iterate and be able to play with this and find small use cases and really get involved. And from a vision standpoint, it's important to remember because again we will constantly, it's not going to stop, that we're going to hear about the massive breakthroughs in technology of these huge platforms and these huge tools, but the speed of technology is well beyond what a single person understands and will use.
fair.
And that's really significant because it means there's still a massive opportunity for the people who are willing to fully participate and become AI literate and to start to ask the questions, how could this help my business? How could this help me? Uh, Fully jumping in is the key. It's not going to just happen for you. You're going to have to take a class, learn something, go to a seminar, listen to a podcast. Um, Full participation is a bit of a joke in my household because my husband and I sort of share the duty of unloading the dishwasher. And one person will, from time to time, kind of end up doing it all the time. And the other person will swoop in and do a little bit and yell out, I'm participating. Yeah, that's not participation.
Household story. Every household story.
Yeah. You got to hold yourself accountable, get in there. And Sir had mentioned also, you get in there, put yourself in situations. You'll be it. I hate to say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You don't want to put yourself in threatening situations, but uh, only you are going to be responsible and accountable for what you're learning and what you're taking in. So join it's fine. The water's fine. Come on in. There's lots of great people and communities that are formed and forming to help get you where you want to go.
Yeah, so Adish, I just wanted to add one final comment or
Yeah.
statement here on the same note. So tomorrow's world again, I'll just take the names of the companies as well: Microsoft, Azure, Amazon, AWS, and Salesforce, Oracle, and all, right? So everybody has their marketplaces and agent exchanges and common, you call it, whatever the name we call it, right? So all those marketplaces, ecosystems I am using as the platforms I'm using, so have agents in it. And now everybody has to open. Salesforce is opening with vibe coding, scripting, like that. Microsoft is opening with their platform with again AI first enablers and all, right, the connectors, what we are calling it up. So with that, what happens is every other ecosystem agent can interact with this ecosystem's agent. That's when the real magic happens, and the acceleration will be faster. Only faster and smarter agents will realize and gain the benefits. And a lot of agents, though you have thousands of agents, only few agents will survive. And again, when push come to shelf, like yeah, a lot of investment happening in AI, right? When a lot of investment is happening, they'll give a mandate from top down saying that you have to make AI work. Like during the COVID, there is kind of the vaccinations are done again, not 100%, but 90% tested. So okay, let's go ahead and try it out. Anyway, it's no harm, right? Similar situation may come in 5 years, and then we'll figure it out like what needs to be. It's just a prediction. Again, I'm not a. It's just my opinion. So thank you.
To have that. And Leslie, I
Well,
didn't forget your
Atisha,
AI.
I know. I was like, I owe you some name dropping. Okay, so what I tell folks across the board when they're talking to me about, or especially if they're new to AI, maybe they've just played with Chat GPT a little bit. Okay, I'll say, great. Okay, you played with that a little bit. Whatever you've done with it, fine. Go to Notebook LM.
I love that.
Go load your documentation into a bucket.
Mhm.
Now it's contained. It's not going to hallucinate. It's not going to make stuff up. And watch how AI finds patterns and tells you stories back about your own data, about your own documents. I think that's what I use to try to get people comfortable with the different things that AI is. And LLM is very different from Notebook LM. So that's where I send them.
That's a great tool. But now that I've done this with Leslie, I feel like I don't want to leave both of you behind. So, Suren, you give me one AI tool. I need a name dropping. And then, Eric, I come to you last.
So again, a lot of our team is using Claude as one of the thing for development side of it. Again, Chat GPT is everybody's again starter. A lot of people using Chat GPT. So these are the two. Again, Claude would be good if you are really trying to build
That was great.
agents and try to write the code.
Right. And Eric, you're finally, and like, don't use the ones that they give me. Give me something else.
Oh,
Sorry, Eric.
so now you're giving me a challenge, huh?
Give me
That's a
something.
good one though. There are several of them out there. Um, and I think I'm not sure I have a favorite that I've used up to this point. I tend to do the same problem, if you will, across multiple AI tools just to see what kind of results I get and how they differ. And I think that's it, I'm cheating, but I think that's my suggestion or my response to you right here is to experiment a little and try multiples and see what you get with the same prompts and see what happens and see which results sit well with you the best. I'm going right back to the human in the loop thing here again, with us being the ultimate decision maker on what we're going to do. Um, there's the unfounded fear that some people have talked about, where AI is going to take your job. I think the proper way to probably put that is the people who utilize AI will more than likely take your job. It won't be AI itself.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Eric. But if this was a multiple choice, I felt like you selected D, all of the above.
Exactly right. I did.
Yeah.
My favorite tool actually is this app called Speechify. It kind of gives a voice interface to everything you're working with, because sometimes I like to read out loud because that really drills it in my brain. And obviously, I get tired. So I use this app. It's an extension and it like literally reads everything to you. It has a lot of different voices. It has Snoop Dogg as well. So sometimes I have Snoop Dogg narrating Google Docs to me, which is fun. It has like a lot of regular voices as well, but I feel like that is fun because I like the conversion from of the interface. I like having voice as an interface, which is why I use Notebook LM to make podcasts. But thank you so much. This has been so fun. And thank you for just throwing in all your insights. And I'm so glad I got an opportunity to do this. Thank you, Suren, for like being a great employer and encouraging all of this.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
One question I have, Atisha. Again, you asked all of us questions, but I have one question for you. That
Oh,
is the last one you mentioned about. Does it have language translator as well? I wanted to hear in 10 different languages, Spanish,
It's
Hindi,
fun.
English, and all that.
I would assume that it does. Oh, it also has a fun feature which I want you all to go and try, and it's going to spook you. It has a feature where it trains on your voice and then reads it out in your voice to you. So
Oh,
you're
that's
supposed to go and speak for
Hmm.
like read a paragraph out. They will record it, and then they read out a document in your custom voice. It's
but
creepy. It's your AI voice.
I know, but nobody want to listen to their own voice. So
I feel like I encourage you to do this to just be like, oh, what is happening? I liked
all
that.
right, thank you.
It's AI, Atisha, you know. So I feel like, but yeah, I think so. They should have languages for sure. But that is a very good point. Yeah, I think they should have languages. I'll circle back on that one. But thank you so much, guys, and let's hopefully do another one soon.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
Bye.
Thanks. Take care.
thank you all.